We hope you enjoy listening to the following sample of Guilty by Definition, written by Susie Dent and read by Louise Brearley. The day the first letter arrived was warm for the time of year. A Thursday in late April, when Oxford was at its most charming, the sunlight washing over the buttery sandstone of the college buildings, their spires looking obligingly dreamy against a pale blue sky. Easy to love the city in the sunshine, unless, of course, you were one of the students contemplating their upcoming finals. In a few weeks they would be hurrying towards the examination schools in the regulation attire of black gowns known as sub-fusk, long and billowing for scholars, shorter and skimpier for commoners, chattering like jittery magpies. When Martha Thornhill had been appointed senior editor at the Clarendon English Dictionary 6 months earlier, she had quickly discovered that a desk overlooking the street was one of the perks of the job. She wasn't convinced it was an advantage to her employer, however. Too often, when she looked away from her screen to try and think her way through a word or tweak a definition, she found her attention snagged by a passing figure on the pavement. A girl with long blonde hair, head down and walking fast. A young man, hands in his pockets, at ease with himself and his future. An older couple, arm in arm, enjoying a stroll past the grand frontage of the dictionary's offices, pausing to look up and catching her eye. She'd look away guiltily, knowing she'd been caught wool-gathering yet again. Berlin, where she'd spent the last 10 years learning her trade as an editor, had felt starkly different. History pressed up against you more urgently there, its upheavals and reinventions so recent they seemed to linger in the air and give the city a restless energy. In Oxford, the history had settled into the fabric of the stone, a subtle perfume breathed out by the street names and college spires. It comforted, welcomed contemplation. Martha touched her necklace, slowly running the pair of silver hearts back and forth along their chain, her private rosary. Another group of tourists, eager and neon-coated, were gathering beneath Martha's window, trying to catch a glimpse of the ornate fountain in the grassy courtyard beyond the gates. Martha could have done the tour guide's speech for him. The Clarendon English Dictionary, known throughout the world as the CED, is one of the greatest ongoing intellectual endeavours of our age. The project was begun in the 19th century under the auspices of the university and continues apace as new words come into use and existing ones change. This opening gambit was traditionally followed by a pause as one of the tourists asked a question. Martha seldom heard the exact words, but the guide's answer frequently told her that it was some variation on spell checkers, Google, and why anyone these days writes dictionaries at all. Well, certainly not for the money, she thought, as she half listened to the guide's reply. Their answer usually involved a fluffy version of how language and civilization are inseparable, that to understand the history and development of one is to appreciate the evolution of the other. Martha wanted to seize his audience by their neoprene labels and tell them there was so much more to it than that language defines us and is the framework of our thought, an endless, shifting, complex dance through time and human nature. It is about patterns of life and the need to communicate them. It is about dying, renewal, and everything in between, about chaos and the order we make from chaos, the blood and bones of every history. Above all, it is about the slow, insistent pull into the secret lives of the ordinary. "Is it Looney Tunes time?" Martha flinched and turned from the window to see her colleague hovering by her desk, holding 2 coffees and proffering her one as though he might withdraw it at any moment. His wardrobe, on the other hand, was anything but tepid. He was embracing the warm weather by wearing a Hawaiian print shirt in a violent purple, patterned erratically with white hibiscus flowers that drew the eye to an incipient beer belly. She glanced down at her watch, 2:01, before accepting the coffee with a grin. "Thanks, Simon. Yes, let's get cracking.